everyone, my name is Kristyn Slick with Mealtime Memories, a Classroom Kitchen, and I am so excited to be here with you today to talk about Mediterranean cooking. What country do you think of when you first think of Mediterranean cooking? Greece? Yes, but there are dozens more of the countries that represent Mediterranean cooking. Mediterranean cooking is all about the Mediterranean Sea. And if you think geographically, if you're like me and kind of a history nerd and buff, then you're gonna probably think of a lot more countries that surround the Mediterranean Sea. Countries like Albania, Algeria, Bosnia, Croatia, Egypt, France, Israel, Italy, Monaco, Spain, Syria, Turkey. And that's just a small list of countries that are in the Mediterranean. So we're gonna be looking at some recipes today that are wonderful to cook at home, and you're gonna get all of those great Mediterranean flavors. Now, what does Mediterranean even look like when you cook at home? First of all, you're really gonna focus on fruits, veggies, whole grains, beans, nuts, and legumes. Think the base of the food pyramid. Then you're gonna add in some lean proteins like fish and poultry, good fats like olive oil, some dairy, and some sweets, but they don't focus on that. Really, the Mediterranean diet focuses on eliminating fast food and moving to whole foods. You're gonna eat more fruits, veggies, whole grains, legumes. You're gonna swap those fats. Instead of butter, you're gonna use olive oil. You're gonna reduce your intake of red meat. Lamb is often the red meat of choice in Mediterranean cooking. Some dairy and eggs. Don't drink your calories, those big Starbucks runs, and share your meals with others. This is probably one of my favorite attributes of Mediterranean cooking is sharing a meal. It slows you down and it allows you to really enjoy your food. So some of your top grocery items that you're gonna see in our recipes today, we're gonna do a full Mediterranean, easy to do at home meal. You're gonna see some veggies like garlic, leafy greens, onions and tomatoes, obviously olive oil, some dairy like Greek yogurt, also some protein. You're gonna see some poultry in our cooking today. Whole grain. Now, I kind of skipped over some of the more regular things that you might see as a whole grain, like pasta, quinoa, rice, couscous, oatmeal, things that are pretty typical in the American diet. And we're gonna dive into a new type of whole grain called bulgur. Tons of spices. I don't know if you can see right here, but these are just all of the spices we're gonna be using today because it adds bold flavor without adding all the salt. You can add so many flavors to your Mediterranean cooking without having to worry about the salt intake. Fruit, yes, they use so much fruit. You're not gonna see much today because we are doing more of a savory dish. However, they really focus on fruit that isn't super common around here. Things like figs and dates and pomegranates and plums, things that you don't normally see on an American counter, but they're so, so good for you. And then last, beans and legumes that are filled with fiber and protein, especially because they don't rely a lot on the red meats. So that's kind of the basis of Mediterranean cooking and why we should absolutely incorporate it into our American diets. We're gonna be making chicken shawarma with a tzatziki sauce and a tabbouleh salad. They're all super classic Mediterranean recipes. They all mostly come from the Middle East, so a little bit different than your regular Greek thinking when you think of Mediterranean. And we're gonna go ahead and jump into our first recipe. Our first recipe is going to be chicken shawarma. And it sounds a little bit intimidating because usually it's like fire roasted over a pit, but I'm gonna show you an easy way to make it at home. The most complicated part of the recipe are the amount of spices you need in this, but I promise you it is so worth it. So what we're gonna do is I already have some chicken thighs that are already cut up for me. And chicken thighs are a great thing to use for chicken shawarma because they melt in your mouth. Now, you can absolutely use chicken breast. It's just gonna give you a little bit different of a texture. So I cut all of these into pretty fine small pieces. So we're gonna transfer this to a little bit bigger of a bowl because I wanna show you the mix of spices that we're gonna be using. This is about 4 boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I already cut up into little strips and little pieces. And what we're gonna be adding are several spices to this recipe. We're gonna add cumin, which is smoky. We're gonna add turmeric, which is a yellow spice, and has a lot of health benefits to it. Coriander, which is ground cilantro, essentially. Garlic powder, paprika, ground cloves, and a little bit of cayenne pepper and salt. Now, I already measured out all of these spices in here just because, you don't want to see me measure out a teaspoon or so of all of these spices. Oh my goodness, but the flavors in here, the amount of salt in here compared to all the other spices in here is literally a pinch, and it's just to enhance those flavors. So we're gonna take this and just put it over the top of our chicken here and coat it. And we're gonna be able to then put this aside to kind of just let it ruminate a little bit. We're also gonna add just a little tiny bit of olive oil, just so that it kind of becomes a little bit of a marinade. So we're gonna add that. Again, no butter, olive oil, the nice first pressed, healthy fat olive oil. All right, so we're also gonna add some sliced onions to this. This is an optional step. It is in traditional chicken shawarma, but I do have some sliced onions that I already kind of just have thinly sliced here that we're gonna toss in here. And oftentimes this is cooked in a chicken shawarma. So again, we're gonna toss all that. You're gonna see the different colors that are added to this. None of this is something that you're gonna have to go on the hunt for at different specialty grocery stores. All of this you can find at typical grocery stores. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of lemon juice, which I have over here. I did cheat with a pre-done lemon juice, but that's okay. That's another thing that probably is in your regular fridge and maybe not regular lemons and limes, right? And we're gonna toss this again. Now, ultimately, if you have the time to let this marinate, that's the best thing to do. If you don't have the time to let it marinate, that's okay. Give it hopefully like a half hour. Then you'll be good to go with it because you really want those spices to be absorbed into the chicken and the onions, okay? So we're gonna be grilling this right in a grill pan in just a little bit. We're gonna let this sit for just a few minutes, cheat a little bit. And we're gonna move on to another recipe because we do have to get that one started because that one needs to sit as well. So we're gonna put this to the side and I'm gonna start on our tabbouleh salad. Our tabbouleh salad is used with a fine bulgur. Bulgur is essentially a wheat, okay? And the cool thing about this is this does not need to be cooked. It actually just sits in water. So you need, and it kind of just reabsorbs and reconstitutes. It has a similar texture to a couscous, which is a very, very fine pasta. And it really takes on whatever flavor you put it with. A tabbouleh salad is from the Middle Eastern region of the Mediterranean, and it's from the mountains of Lebanon and Syria. The true star in this tabbouleh recipe is gonna be actually not the actual bulgur, but parsley. So it actually ends up being a wheat, parsley, cucumber, tomato, mint salad that you serve on the side with your chicken shawarma. It also often has a citrusy dressing, so you're going to see us using lime juice, olive oil, some salt, and it ends up being very fresh and very light on your stomach a little bit. Some tabbouleh recipes like this one call for some mint leaves and green onions, while other ones use parsley and red onions instead. So it's completely up to you what you want to use in your tabbouleh salad. Tabbouleh also makes a great and bright addition to the dinner table next to your grilled kebabs or your grilled shawarma, but you can also include it as part of a small plate meal as well with creamy hummus and falafel and fried eggplant, and creating a whole different Mediterranean plate as well. So tabbouleh salad, we already have a half a cup measured out of of the bulgur, and we're gonna be adding some water to it and let it just sit for like 5 to 7 minutes to absorb that water, okay? So we're gonna add just water right on top of it and just let it sit and absorb. So I'm gonna come back here real quick, just cover it with enough water, And our timer starts now. You can kind of give it a swish with your finger or a spoon just to kind of get it all ruminating in there. But it's funny because when you look at it, it looks a lot like a couscous. How can you not be cooking it? But I promise you, this does a great job of just doing it itself, absorbing that water, okay? So we're gonna put that to the side as well because that needs a little bit of time. And while we wait for our chicken to continue marinating, let's work on our tzatziki sauce, which you can't have a good grilled shawarma without some tzatziki sauce. Tzatziki sauce is a cucumber sauce that is traditionally mixed with Greek yogurt, and that's gonna be the only dairy item that you really see in our cooking today. So first what we're gonna do is I have a little bit of, oops, that is our tabbouleh salad. We don't want that one, we want this one. We have a little bit of cucumber here and some mint that I already diced up in a bowl. And this is so simple. This is one of the most refreshing dressings that I've ever made. What we're gonna add to this are some garlic cloves. You can slice or press your garlic cloves. I prefer to slice to press them because it releases more of the flavor. So I have a great garlic press here. I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze out my garlic. You see that it presses out the bottom and everything else ends up in there. Now, the tzatziki sauce is very garlicky and you're gonna see very little salt used in here because we use such strong flavors with the mint and the garlic. Let me just grab a knife so I can actually get that garlic off of the bottom here. The other thing I love about a garlic press is that the peel stays inside. So if you have little time to actually peel and slice and all that stuff, you can get a garlic press where the peel stays right inside and I pull it right out with my knife tip. No garlicky hands either, so don't have to worry about the smell of garlic, only on your breath. All right, we're gonna add 3 garlic cloves to this. Just like these other pieces of our recipe, letting them sit and ruminate really makes them better. So I oftentimes like to make this a little bit ahead of time. Give it like a half hour in the fridge before you serve it up. Then that way you know that all of your flavors are nice and strong and the way they should taste, okay? So tzatziki sauce comes from the Ottoman Empire, and people would actually often use a yogurt-based dip to serve their meals with because a lot of the times their food was very spicy. So they created this yogurt-based dip in order to help mute that palate a little bit. So this came out of the need for helping some of those Persian elites with those spicy dishes that came out of the Ottoman Empire. So cool as a cucumber, soothing yogurt, that fresh mint was the perfect solution to those spicy dishes. So to this, we have cucumber, we have mint, we have garlic. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil. We're gonna add a little bit of salt, which I'm gonna grab at my stovetop. Just a little bit, it helps enhance. You never wanna not do without salt. A little bit of white pepper. Now you can use regular black pepper as well, but white pepper, it really kind of hides better in that Greek yogurt. Okay, so just a little bit. It is still a little spicy. And then of course, Greek yogurt. So we're gonna take our fresh, plain Greek yogurt. This is so much better for you than sour cream. Sour cream just has a lot of, it's very delicious, but it has a lot of fat in it, whereas this has a lot of protein in it. A serving of Greek yogurt has 17 grams of protein in it. That is a ton without having to actually eat meat to get to that protein factor. So we're gonna add in about 2 cups, this makes a good amount, of our Greek yogurt and give it a good stir. And it's gonna end up, like I said, this cool, creamy sauce that we're gonna serve with our chicken shawarma. And then this is gonna sit in the fridge or sit on the countertop if you wish, if you're gonna be serving it quicker, but you really want those flavors to come together for you. All right, yum. You can always dice your cucumbers a little bit finer too, but I like mine a little bit chunkier. I really like to taste that they are in there. So tzatziki sauce for our serving, Tabbouleh is sitting and marinating. Our chicken is just about ready to be grilled on our stovetop, and it's all coming together. Look at how quickly and easily this is all coming together for us without having to do a ton of prep, a ton of hassle, and all ingredients that you can find at your regular grocery store. Getting so many great nutrients as well as we're cooking, and you're gonna be so satisfied with all of these flavors. Okay, so I'm gonna preheat my pan for our chicken shawarma, and then I'm gonna show you how to put this tabbouleh salad together. The tabbouleh salad, we do need to strain and really kind of strain out all that water because we don't want a watery tabbouleh salad. So we really wanna get that bulgur very nice and dry. So let me preheat our pan. I'm gonna come and show you how to do that tabbouleh salad. Our pan, we're gonna start on a high heat to preheat it, and then we'll turn it down so that we get a nice sear on our chicken thighs, because remember, chicken thighs are fatty. So if you hit that on really, really high heat, they're gonna burn on you. We wanna make sure that they don't burn and that we have a nice just sear on them. So that's preheating for us. Our bulgur is nice and starting to really fluff up. Let me grab a spoon to show you. I don't know if, how closely you can see this, but all that water, the amount of water I put in there, and all of a sudden we have this nice fluffy bulgur wheat, and it's really starting to rise in there and reconstitute instead of just that dry wheat. So you need a fine mesh strainer, and I say fine because or else it's gonna fall right through on you. So we're gonna go ahead and drain this over our sink. And you're gonna see that it's not at all crunchy anymore. It's nice and soft. And you're gonna get in there with your hands and you're gonna squeeze all that excess water out of there, because we do not want it to be a sloppy tabbouleh salad. It should be nice and dry. You can kind of even push it through your strainer a little bit. Yes, it will stick to your hands. It is a little bit different than making couscous, but I think it's even tastier. It's lighter on your stomach, and because it's not a enriched pasta, it is a whole wheat grain. This is actually part of the actual wheat plant when you make this. So I'm gonna kind of rinse my hand over the colander so I don't miss out on some of that bulgur that we reconstituted, and I'm gonna do my best patting it dry. You can also let this hang over an open bowl to continue drip drying if you really feel like you don't have the time to squeeze it out, or you really don't want to get in there with your hands. That just takes a little bit more time. Okay. We're gonna actually put this on the cutting board, and I'm gonna get the tabbouleh salad pieces out and ready. All I did here was chop up some cucumber and tomato and green onion, and this is gonna be added all together, and we're gonna make like a vinaigrette with it. So this is essentially like the vinaigrette. Remember, the star of the show is not necessarily the bulgur. That just helps it come together a little bit. The star of the show is gonna be the parsley or the mint that you decide to use, plus the vinaigrette that we're gonna be putting on top of this. So I'm gonna add our bulgur right to the top of our veggies that I already diced up. And then I want to show you how to do some mint. Now the mint, the way I like to cut it is rolling it together and giving it a nice like chiffonade. Chiffonade are ribbons. That's what it means, is ribbons. You can do the same thing with basil. So you might see that really pretty ribbony basil on different dishes in Italian cooking. We're gonna do the same thing with our mint. So we're gonna stack our mint together very, just as like close to the same size as you can. And then kind of get out those smaller pieces. And I'm gonna get a better knife. We don't want a paring knife for this. We want something a little bit bigger and better. And I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna roll it all together so that it ends up being tubular and it looks like just one big pack of mint. From here, I'm gonna take my knife, and this is a great way to practice your knife skills. When you hold a knife, you're gonna hold the very top of the bolster or the blade, depending on how large your knife is. This one, I'm gonna hold more of the bolster, and I'm gonna wrap my fingers around there. And I'm gonna tuck my fingers, this is my claw hand, and I'm gonna rock my knife over my food and move my fingers back little by little. Now, if you're not comfortable with this and you have a good set of kitchen shears, you can go ahead and just use your kitchen shears, okay? But I enjoy the knife skills. So then I'm gonna take my mint and I'm gonna sprinkle it all over the top, and I have those beautiful ribbon pieces. And and mint is a strong flavor, so you only need about 10 to 15 leaves to really mix this in. It's a very strong flavor. We're gonna add a little bit of our lime juice, salt, and olive oil, because like I said, this is a vinaigrette. So we have a couple tablespoons of lime juice, a couple tablespoons of olive oil, about an even amount of each, and then some salt. Now, the star of this, like I said, is the mint and the parsley. So I have some curly parsley. Now, it's a lot harder to cut parsley than it is to cut mint. So what we're gonna do with this is I'm actually gonna use a food processor to help me with the parsley. We're gonna rip off the top of the parsley. We need a pretty considerable amount, about a whole bunch, like one whole bunch for a salad this size. And I'm gonna put it into my food processor. Now, this is a manual food processor. I don't have to plug it in. So I do like this kind because it allows me to have control over how fine or how coarse my food is gonna be. So I'm just gonna take this, I'm gonna pump it, and the blades are gonna do all the chopping for me, so I don't have to worry too much about all those knife skills. Wow, see how nice and easy and fine that is then? That's exactly what we want our parsley to look like. We're gonna add that into our tabbouleh salad and give it a good stir. Can you see how bright and fresh this is to serve alongside that smoky, rich chicken shawarma? I mean, this is a huge benefit to Mediterranean cooking, is being able to try all these fresh flavors. And you're gonna be so much more satisfied than making anything frozen or running through that fast food line, or even going to a Mediterranean takeout place. The joy of cooking something like this is so much more satisfying. So tabbouleh salad, done. Tzatziki sauce, done. Let's grill up that chicken shawarma. All right, we're gonna take this over there with our onion to our hot pan. I'm gonna turn down that heat a little bit. I am gonna spray it with just a little bit more cooking oil, just so that we don't get those onions stuck to the bottom of the pan. Pour that in there. Oh, love that sizzle. And since this is cut up so finely, this isn't gonna take that long to pull together. It's only probably gonna take about 5 minutes. If you are unsure about your cooking confidence with cooking proteins, you're definitely gonna wanna have a meat thermometer in order to finish cooking this recipe. You want it at 165 degrees. Chicken is not something that you wanna undercook. You wanna make sure that it is fully cooked through, and you're gonna get the best flavor too, even if it's a little bit more than that with the chicken thighs, because it'll really fall apart within that pita bread. So we have our chicken going. It's gonna take about 5 minutes. You can also bake this. So if you didn't have time to worry about this on the stovetop, you can throw this in a hot 425 degree oven and bake this off as well instead of grilling it. Personally, I like all the little charred bits that end up on the outside of my chicken shawarma when I grill them, which is why I go this method instead of putting it in the oven. All right, so those look amazing. Now to serve all this up, we're gonna be using some pita bread, and I'm gonna grab a plate and show you what all of this is gonna pile up to be while our chicken is finishing cooking on the stovetop. Let me grab a plate. We'll move some of our cutting board out of the way. All right, so we have some pita bread. And you can serve this two different ways. Pita bread is the typical bread of Mediterranean cooking. I like to serve it as one big wrap, kind of like a taco. You can also buy pita bread where it's a little bit thicker, and it's perforated and you can actually tear it. I'm just gonna show you one of them. This one is a thinner flatbread, but sometimes you can get in there with a butter knife and you can open up the two and actually make a pita pocket. So when we make our pita, we really want to make sure that it's not room temperature. We don't want it brittle like this. We want to warm it up in the microwave. And so what I do with that is I often take a paper towel, and it can be slightly damp or just dry. And I take my pita and I put it between two paper towels so that when I warm it up, it kind of helps steam it and I don't get those hot spots. So we're gonna throw this in the microwave for just about 15 seconds and then leave it in the microwave. It's like a little insulator while we're waiting for our chicken to finish. Let's get our pita warmed up because I am getting hungry for this. We'll give our chicken a flip. And if you noticed, I kept it pretty undisturbed because I do like those charred marks on the chicken. They add a lot of flavor and texture. And this is looking close to complete just after a few minutes. Since it's all little tiny pieces of chicken, I want to make sure I get them all flipped in the right direction so I can get both sides cooked. All right. You're going to see this rich yellow color, and that's from our turmeric. Our turmeric has so many health properties to it, and you've probably heard about turmeric with turmeric lattes and turmeric pills. It's a great antioxidant for your body, and it holds a lot of vitamins for you as well. I actually use turmeric in my chicken soup as well when I make chicken noodle soup because it gives it that nice deep yellow color, and it adds some of those antioxidant properties, and my kids don't know any better at all. So our chicken is almost done here. It's looking real good. And being a cooking instructor for the last 6 years and cooking before that, I kind of have an idea of how and when my chicken is done. But again, if you're not totally sure, find one of your bigger pieces of chicken, stick your meat thermometer in there, and make sure that it is truly 165 degrees. All right, we're gonna take our pita out here. It's nice and warm. It's not gonna crack on me. Just side note, if you do Mexican cooking as well, always warm up your corn tortillas as well, or else your corn tortillas are gonna snap on you as well, just like the pita. You want them nice and warm and pliable when you're actually building out your chicken shawarma or your taco, okay? Give this a minute while we start building out our plate. Well, you can even see, I don't know if you can see, that there's actually the steam from that pita, which is why I put it between the two paper towels. If I didn't have the two paper towels in there, the steam would end up in the microwave. So having it in a paper towel does a great job of holding in that steam and that moisture. So over to our plate here, we're gonna actually fill this with our chicken shawarma, but on the side, I'll serve out some of our tabbouleh salad. Again, the bulgur just adds a little bit of bulk to this beautiful parsley, mint, tomato, cucumber salad. And it's gonna really help cut the flavor of some of those really intense spices that we're using in our chicken shawarma. I'm also gonna give this a little dollop of our tzatziki sauce on the side here. You can add as little or as much as you want. I'm a fan of tzatziki sauce. I even love using this tzatziki sauce. I actually thin it out a little bit more with water, put it over salad. So you can take this same chicken shawarma and instead of a pita, just serve it right over your tabbouleh salad with a little bit more thinned out tzatziki sauce. There's several ways that you can make a Mediterranean dish work for you and your family. Bringing the plate over, now we're gonna add some of our chicken. Oh, I'm gonna get some of these crispier ones. The crispier ones are my favorite, my personal favorite. Oh my goodness. Turn our heat off here. Wow. A beautiful, simple 30-minute Mediterranean meal. So many different cultures represented in this meal by itself. I don't know, it may be time for a bite. Guys, If this didn't have the cucumber sauce on here, it would definitely be way too many flavors. But that cucumber sauce really helps mellow it out. The tabbouleh salad is gonna be a great addition to kind of finish it off, help my gut a little bit, get through all of this food. So, so, so good. Thanks so much for joining me with Mediterranean cooking today. As part of your Do Good, Feel Good challenge, try a new recipe. My name is Kristyn Slick with Mealtime Memories, a classroom kitchen. Go make some memories with your family in the kitchen.